Committee meeting to order to and to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of Stahelis. Any introduction of late items? None. Right. Approval of the agenda moved by Stephanie, seconded by Michelle. All in favour? Thank you. And adoption of the Accessibility Committee meetings on October the 30th. Moved by Stephanie, seconded by Michelle. Any errors or omissions seen there? No, nothing. Okay. All in favour? Thank you. Items for discussion. Okay. Is
Jerry now.
is that Jerry?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello.
Good morning.
I apologize.
So
No problem.
we've just started, Jerry, so we're just getting to the items for discussion.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Oh, the other one. Okay.
Yes, I think.
Okay. Who's taking this on? Chris?
Yeah, I can talk about it if you'd like. Yeah.
Yeah, carry on.
Oh, thanks. So I just wanted to provide a little bit of an update. So since the last time the committee met, the attached work plan was adopted, approved by council. So we're just finalizing the budget now, but this is kind of what we're looking at. There were no municipal funds requested in any event. So I just wanted to touch on two projects that you don't see in here, which I know were discussed at the last meeting, and that was the Moby mats and the wooden walkway to replace the Moby mats, and then also repairing those ramps going up from Esplanade up to the Lagoon pathway. So those, they're not in the committee's work plan because they're more of an operational thing, but they are included in this year's budget. For the ramps are included in this year's budget, but we're still looking at the walkway for the Moby mats. It was quite expensive in that area by Rendell, and we're also still working on the dike upgrade project, so we don't know what that looks like quite yet. Christy's going to touch on Moby mats a little later on in the agenda, so that's why you don't see those two things on here, but the ramps are in the budget, the ramp repairs are in the budget, and then this is kind of the final work plan and budget for the committee for 2026.
So you get your ramps done, Jerry.
And Sharon really wanted those, right? Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we'll be using this to create the agenda. So in the fall, we'll take a look at that accessibility plan. And then I believe, did you want to?
I can go through sort of some updates on these projects.
Sure.
For sure.
That'd be great.
The washroom at Memorial Hall automatic door installation is complete. And the Spring Park washroom building automatic door installation is scheduled for this Friday, actually. So then those will both be complete, which is exciting. The beach washrooms ones will be a little bit later. The washrooms themselves are getting a bit of an upgrade at the beach. So we're just sort of finalizing those types of plans. And then we'll be doing the installation of the automatic door openers kind of in conjunction with that work. And then there's just a bit more signage type things. So those will be completed and installed soon as well. I'm going to be ordering the new accessible parking stall signage this week. Council adopted some changes to our sort of setup of pay parking. And so the accessible parking stalls, sorry, I think I'm getting
That's okay.
We'll talk about it now because it's in the work plan. Council approved that the accessible parking stalls in the pay parking zones will be free for up to 4 hours of use with an eligible accessible decal. So we're excited about that, and then we'll be doing some upgrades to the website too, to really highlight where those stalls are. We haven't obviously had free parking during pay parking season at the accessible stalls, so we're gonna be sort of closely watching that to ensure that we still have enough availability of those accessible stalls and making decisions to add or shift locations as we may need. But yeah, that was a nice little perk for accessible, making it more accessible. So we're really excited about that. And then later in the year, we will just be reviewing the accessibility plan and looking to do a new one of that.
Any questions for Christy or Amanda
No, that's awesome.
on the work plan?
What about the three-way crossing? We were talking, wasn't it the last meeting or was it the one before where we talked about the three-way crossing on Miami Drive to do with the school and kids crossing from, was anything?
Yeah, I was gonna bring up, but later.
Oh, okay.
Carry on, Amanda.
Okay.
Oh, sure. Yeah, so that was discussed. Council did put more money in the budget for some sidewalk and roadway improvements this year. So we're gonna be looking at potentially finishing the sidewalk there and adding a crosswalk.
Okay, at that time.
Yeah, so that
Just
did come up
wanted to-
during budget. No, it's a good reminder to keep on top of that. That did come up during budget discussions for sure. I think maybe what I'll do is we haven't touched base with the teacher who had requested that.
That's right.
So maybe I'll just touch base with that teacher
Yeah.
and respond to her, and I can CC you and just
And also we have to contact the resident on the corner as well.
yeah, we have to, yeah, that'll be an operations.
Operation.
Yeah, they'll have to look into it. We need to we had a high level quote. We haven't actually looked at obtaining quotes for that work. It is quite expensive to do the sidewalk, I think, and the crosswalk, but that is something that did come up during budget discussions and something we'll be looking at based on this year's budget.
Good.
Yeah,
And what is just quick on the crosswalk, we just like Christy just to mention for those who didn't plug into the previous council meeting that you're looking for safety reasons for everybody to crosswalk by the boat launch, maybe different colors, or you like to just touch on that?
Yeah, I can, absolutely. Yeah, so the crosswalk sort of to access Rendell Park from the lagoon pathway, we're gonna be doing some improvements there as well to sort of better guide the pedestrian flow, and doing some improvements at the entrance of Rendell Park to make it a bit more clear the direction that you're supposed to walk and how to best access that site. So that'll all be coming up too.
Thank you.
Can we go back to the school? Sorry, can you please refresh me on where we're talking about?
so it's you know where the Ruth Altendorf Bridge is?
Yes.
You know, it comes out onto Miami River. The pathway is like right smack in the middle of the intersection, so
Okay.
it's not very
Accessible.
it's not cross. Yeah, thank you. That's a great word. It's very accessible. And so there was a student who's hard of hearing and it can't hear the vehicles that are coming. So
Okay.
it's not very. There's like hedges that kind of block the site there.
Yeah.
So that is another piece of it, is also shifting the location of the trailhead there
Over to this way, and because there's already a little bit of
Yeah.
a cross.
On Harrisburg,
Sidewalk,
there's like
yeah.
that S kind of crosswalk,
Yeah.
or sorry, sidewalk that
Yeah.
runs along. So it would be finishing that sidewalk up to the corner of Miami River and Walnut and then putting a crosswalk in. Yeah, that's what we were looking at doing, and some other options. We're putting the sign like slow down children crossing or potentially a three-way stop, depending on how expensive it is to finish that sidewalk and then the crosswalk and move the trail over. So there's a couple different options to make it flow a lot more logically, I think, in there.
I'm not sure whether it should be brought up here or not. Did we not discuss something to do with busing and bus transit? Is that somewhere else?
There's a,
It's in the minutes
It's in
from last
the
time.
previous minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought there was mention of a letter to BC Transit, maybe?
To FBRD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're dealing with that with the regional district because they look after, work with BC Transit for our area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Carry on, ladies.
If there's no more questions on the work plan, you want to move on to item B?
Any, okay with the work plan? Yep, cool.
Great. Move it over to Christy, I guess. Yeah.
Thanks, Amanda. There is it's called the RBC Barrier Buster Grant, and so I've been working on a application for that, and so I just wanted to give you a bit of an update on the direction that I'm going with that application. It's going to be focused on improving water access for all. So we're looking at sort of a multifaceted approach. There are some improvements that have been highlighted for the boat launch to make that accessible. So we're going to be putting in a component for that, as well as we are working on creating and installing a canoe kayak launch. And there's going to be an accessible portion of that. So I wanted to highlight that in the request as well. And then I'm gonna just figure out the logistics of it later if we are successful, but I'm going to put in for one of the Mobi wheelchairs and some additional Mobi mats. My thought with the Mobi wheelchair is that it could be sort of like not rented, but signed out with credit card, driver's license type of thing from the boat launch building when that's in place. I think I've touched on it already in this committee, but those wheelchairs do need to be used by like an assistant person. They're not intended to be used independently. So I think that the transport of getting the Mobi chair from the boat launch building across to Rendell Park is doable, and that could be a really neat tourism feature to be able to offer that, as well as for anyone local who might use it. And yeah, I know that there's been some attention around increasing water access. We had feedback received here, and I think the Rick Hansen Foundation is doing some work on that on their end too. So excited about the potential for a good fit and to really increase those opportunities. And so there is a recommendation for that the committee provide a letter of support for the village's application to the RBC Barrier Buster Grants Program.
You'd like to move on, the second for that?
Yes.
Moved by Jerry, seconded by Stephanie. Discussion. Jerry, you have a question?
No, I think what you said involved, yeah, pretty much covered it. So that was that the grant through Rick Hansen. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sending that along. I usually have eyes on it, but I do appreciate always.
No, I just
Reminders.
happened to notice that you're reading it. And so projects for another year would be discussed at the end of this meeting if I've come up with something else.
It depends. So like if it, yeah.
It might not fit. I'll tell you what it is. My son brought it to my attention. Those of you who know him may know he was in a huge motor vehicle accident. He was in a wheelchair for over 6 months, and I had to help him on many occasions. He mentioned to me, which he said would be good for locals and would also be good for tourism, would be, and of course with the dike upgrade, this might change things. You know, the present lagoon walk that we have, he honestly truly believes that should be paved. And the potential is there for it to be much wider. It could be paved. And he said, then it would be accessible easily to people in wheelchairs, people with canes, people with walkers, moms with strollers. He said, you see people struggling with strollers all the time on the rocks, right? And, you know, and there's room enough there too for bicycles. And I say that, and I know that from experience. My sister lives in Tsawwassen, and I often do the walk to Boundary Bay with her. And bicycles and pedestrians share that walkway. And it's probably from there to here in places, and some places, and people use their bells. And I mean, maybe at one point they had a bylaws officer involved, but people know. People ring their bell or they shout out something and people with dogs move over. Everybody is sharing that walkway. But Jason said if it were paved, and he said then this community, that would be a real drawing card for tourism because already we have streets that are quite wide compared to many communities. And if people who have mobility issues can easily get right out by the water, aren't just stuck on that crowded path at the front. They can walk the whole extent of the lagoon. Anyway, that was his idea. He said to me, because he happened to see my book sitting there with accessibility.
Unless things have changed with knowing the environment, I don't think they have. We had this idea several years ago about the Greenway in Harrison, but you're restricted on what surface you could put down near waterways. And blacktop, as you know, leaches. And of course, you've got the lake. And that would be nothing that we can say that can be looked into, but that would be a very large budgetary item to be looking at for the paving.
Well, he thought
but
too.
it's just the environmental issue of it.
Yeah.
We're not even allowed to touch the trees that are in the rocks on the lakeside.
Right.
We can touch the ones on the lagoon side, but the environment is very strict. I know that was a problem before even these Amanda and Christy were here, that we were looking at the greenway behind the houses. So we had to gravel it. They allow gravel, but they won't allow the blacktop because of the leaching.
And that was why. But it's too bad that I never ever saw that printed anywhere, because I knew some elderly people who lived in that housing development on McCombs. And the minute that gravel pathway went in, she started walking on the road because it was way too hard for her with her cane.
It's hard for wheelchairs, right?
And you know, it's
Unless you have like a smart drive or something like.
or a big heavy.
Yeah, like my brother-in-law has a smart drive and that helps him go through gravel, but I wonder if there's like, maybe not blacktop, like a different smoother surface.
That could be looked into,
Yeah.
but Jason thought too, it might be a project that could be shared with Tourism Harrison, right? Because it would potentially bring a lot more people here. It would be a drawing card for tourism, that the whole, like you say now, the playground's accessible, the water's accessible.
Expense for tourism.
Oh, it's a very popular.
Sorry.
Yeah, but at RMI potentially, right? But that wouldn't be a tourism Harrison expense, that's not
Yeah, okay.
eligible.
But your point is, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, nothing
Yeah.
that cannot be looked into, Jerry. You know, it's
Right.
just there'll be a very large budgetary cost, plus the environmental issues as well regarding that.
Right.
You know, and even us, as Christy and Amanda would tell you, when we were redoing all the new stuff around the lagoon, we had to wait for permission from the environment before we could do any of that.
Yeah.
You know.
Trees?
Yeah, it is. They have such a strict. Their regulations are very. Even if we go near a water course with a machine, we have to get permission, like our backhoe. You know, it's very. But anyway, something that we can look in. That, of course, would be into next year's. Wouldn't be this year's budget because the budget's already applied for. But a good idea. Now, whether but to make a note of it, look into that.
Thank you.
Since we're kind of on the topic of trails and pathways, just the ones in Spring Park, whenever it's raining, they become impassable for wheelchairs and people with strollers and mobility devices. There's pooling water on them and it's uneven.
It's a trip hazard also,
Yeah.
because it's slippery.
Yeah, so just maybe some maintenance in there.
Do you think it's the water table is so high in there? Because the water comes from the green grass area and runs right over the pathway.
I don't know, it seems to be in certain areas where it's
Yeah.
lower. And So you might be able to get through and then you'd come to a part where you couldn't
Yeah,
get
you're
out
right,
onto
yeah,
the
there
little
are
bit.
sections there that, yeah.
It's I think it's drainage and like you say, the elevation, it isn't quite high enough.
Yeah. Sometimes they can just add like a bit more crush in certain
Yes.
areas, so I'll have them look into that.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Maintenance. Anything else on that? Well, while you're talking about pathways and accessibility, as you may or may not know, we're working with the province now for our, is it the 80 acres to do the trails and maybe other recreational?
We haven't
Yeah.
submitted an
Yeah,
application of that.
we had a problem, which it's very, nothing could be done about it with the East Sector Park when that was opened up, because it's not accessible. Because all the roots of the trees that are on the pathway and everything, it's very difficult for a wheelchair to try and get through there. So I'm not sure if any, when you work in that, Christy, we could, if we get to those pathways in the new section, if we get to it, that could be gravel there. So that it's just the roots of the trees. That's the problem.
But it would be pretty challenging to do that because it's a lot of up and down and not just the roots, but roots and up and down,
Yeah.
muddy patches, but perhaps more of those wooden elevated
You got it.
that they
Yeah.
have already in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Those walkways, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they do. What's that big park on the island? Famous one. They got those
Cathedral
walkways.
Grove.
Yeah, no, yeah. Okay, I just thought I'd throw that in there because of accessibility for it, should be for everybody. Okay, what's next?
There is a motion on the floor.
Oh yeah, just to vote. Any more questions on the motion? All in favor?
Actually, I have one
Apply for
more
the grant?
question. Sorry, in terms of the letter of support, fully support it, but would you guys be writing or would you like a member from the committee to write it?
Typically.
I normally write it, and then run it through the chair, and then the chair says yay or nay, and then I send it out to the committee once it's done. They're pretty standard.
Yeah, beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks.
What's that done? Building update. Belonging.
Thanks, Councillor. So that was just going to be a bit of an update on the village's building belonging project. So the first phase is complete, and there's now what we heard report that was compiled by our consultant that we're working on this project. So this is going to be creating an idea framework, which the A on there stands for accessibility. So we wanted to make sure we highlighted this at this committee as well. So there is now a what we heard report and as well as a second survey, which is sort of the consultant's way of seeing, did we get it right, or did we miss any voices in the first round of engagement that want to get their voices in there now. So that's all up on our Get Into It Harrison page. So that was just a bit of an update and encourage you to view that and make sure that your thoughts and opinions are shared as well.
So that survey's still up and running?
That one just launched yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. So that one will be up, I think, for a couple weeks, that second survey.
Any questions to Christy on that?
Yeah, I have to ask a question because I kind of lost almost 3 months of my life. No, that last fall I had, I got incredibly ill. And just so many things just went over my head. So what exactly is the building belonging? Because did we discuss that at the last meeting? I don't
think we did. I think it
No,
probably
so
came
somewhere
after
I missed
that.
And I wasn't on the village
No problem.
website as often.
Also
Okay.
missed it.
That is also,
I also was
Okay.
not a commissioner for.
Yeah, no,
No
really.
problem. I'll give you a bit more information and then,
you.
yeah, let me know if I miss anything. So we received a grant from BC Healthy Communities under their Plan Each stream to do an idea framework focusing on diversity, equity, inclusion in the village. So I think it was probably after our last meeting that the project got started. So now we've been working with the consultants. There was a session with council. There was a staff session and then there was a community engagement event. Then the survey's out now. It's really just trying to identify any gaps and opportunities, I think is the words that she's focusing on for having the village be more welcoming, inclusive for all. It's not going to have sort of like strict action items coming out of it. It's just meant to be sort of like a broader framework that then council and staff can take to like another further level sort of, if it, depending on what the framework indicates or makes suggestions of. It's just sort of meant to be a bit of like a guiding document and a bit of, reminder framework. Did I miss anything? Probably lots.
No.
I would encourage you to go on, get into it, harrison.ca, and just review. Kaylee pulled together a lot of good information on there, so I'm not doing it justice, I'm sure, in my briefs, somewhat brief
That being
synopsis.
said, I made the last half of the last meeting.
Oh, there
Because
you
I
go.
realized there was
Yeah.
a meeting going in Bonham Memorial Hall, and I looked at my watch and thought, well,
Yeah.
maybe, I'll go and, okay,
Yeah.
so.
All right, so it's tied to that. I forgot you were there. I would have said that too. Perfect.
So it would be information then that would be shared with all the all the committees then, because it involves communication, right?
Mhm.
So would it not be involved with all committees? Because it would also be a reminder to all committee members
Yeah.
about protocols, et cetera, in working.
I think it will. I'm just not sure exactly what it's gonna look like
Okay,
yet,
okay.
so,
So we
but we'll know more soon once
get the
it's
survey
complete.
completed,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then staff will
Yeah.
dig into it.
yeah.
Any other questions on the building design? No? Okay, next one, Christie.
perfect. I just wanted to let you know that the local community accessibility grant that we've received will be wrapping up soon. My deadline is this month. That was a really great opportunity for $25,000, $25,000, I think. So that has supported all these new automatic door openers at the various village sites, as well as the accessible picnic tables at Spring Park. And then it's going to be doing some signage and just sort of finishing that up. But those automatic door openers at sites like our village office have been very well received, and I think we're now just going to be sort of setting a bit of a new standard for ourselves on accessibility. So it's been a really good experience, and I just wanted to let you know that one's wrapping up, and hopefully then we'll be launching into the RBC one if we are selected.
Just a question on that, Christie,
Yeah.
regarding the washroom. As we know,
Mhm.
last year we also discussed the new toilets, the higher ones and was that ever
Yeah.
part in that grant, or is that money already been spent?
That money has been spent, but the washrooms at the boat launch and the washrooms at the beach plaza are gonna be having some upgrades. And so that, I know that is one of the items that we're gonna be looking at,
Oh, good.
hopefully just including that. Yeah, we've got some RMI funding that's supporting those projects, so.
Good. Any questions for Christie on so this work plan will, so that is what we've accomplished.
Mhm.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you've done the parking stalls.
so
You
too.
want to mention that again?
Nope, that's
No?
great.
Civic campus.
Sure, I can take that. Yeah, I just wanted to provide a little bit of an update. I'm not sure if anyone has heard about it. A month ago maybe now. There was a press release between the village and the school district about looking at a new school, the construction of a new school, and then shifting village operations into the current school. There's a lot of information about it on Get Into It. It's got more visual information, so you can see kind of what the proposed layout is. Basically, the school should be on capacity right now by quite a bit. I think they're for 90 students and they have 128 enrolled right now. And all of it is contingent on funding, of course, from the province for the new school. There's a couple considerations. Of course, it would impact Firehole Park, so that's something that we're looking at as well. Ideally, the new school would be more accessible for students, and then as well, any upgrades to that existing building would have an accessibility lens, of course, as well, for any municipal operations that would move over there. So still a very high level, early day concept. There's a lot of information, like I said, I'll get into it. We're still working with the school district to hopefully nail down a date for like an open house type of event. We're looking at the end of April. I know we've touched base with the environmental committee and the age friendly committee about participating in that event in some capacity, whether it's just having a table and explaining what the accessibility committee does and what kind of role the accessibility committee would like to have in terms of input into any future plans there for both the school and for any municipal civic kind of buildings that would go over there if that does proceed. So like I said, it's very early on, but we would love to have any members of the committee who would like to participate and just be there to talk to people about what's important to you as a committee member, what your concerns or comments are about the proposal, and just it's really focused on, Kaylee probably can do this better justice, but it's really focused on conversations. It's not meant to be like an information session or a presentation by anybody. It's a very casual kind of open space concept where people can move through the tables or the booths and talk to people about what they like about the project, what they don't like, what the unknowns are, and just kind of get that conversation flowing.
This was it's on our site, a conceptual plan, which it may look like. And last year, we approached on behalf of the school district, the minister in Victoria, regarding that we support a new school. Obviously, it's been there long enough, and they love partnerships. The province, if you can partner and work together, they love those things. And then, of course, renovate the existing school into the village office and chambers as well. So that's part of the conceptual, but what the idea is to get the public involved so they can, when this open house, whatever it's going to be called, to them to go through, ask the questions. Obviously, there's concerns. It could be concerns in certain areas of that area with some people. There may not be, there will be, I'm sure. So it's to get the input. But we have not heard anything yet, nor as a school district, whether they've accepted the proposal for a new school. So we're still waiting to hear. But that's in the hands of the school district. It's not our application. Quick, carry on, Jerry and Michelle.
Question. If you are looking for someone to help with a table like that, I would be interested.
Perfect. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not like,
Because really, it's just networking.
It's
with people
networking,
as they walk by or they
Yeah.
ask questions. And
Yeah.
No, I would be. And does that allow for this possible plan? Will it allow for any possible use of the library? Will it be a bit of a community school, or will the school be a separate entity entirely? Or will it become a community school, the new school?
that's a really great question. Yeah, I think the goal is for it to be a community school.
Because I experienced one when I had property in Bridge Lake, and to me, that would be a perfect fit for Harrison, honestly.
Yeah.
Because you've then got library, you've got a place on weekends where people can maybe hold a meeting, right? Without moving, like say, asking to rent the Memorial Hall or something. You've got that community school space, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think that is the goal.
Okay.
And then along with that, if the school's getting built and looking at repurposing some of the old school for village use, then that's sort of our dream as well, that there would be like a room that we could utilize as sort of like a senior center
Right.
and have sort of a bit better open access to things, because it would just be better laid out. Like one of the big struggles with like Memorial Hall, say, is like, obviously like a large scale building operating just for like free open access doesn't really work. And with the, like cleaning and maintaining that sort of thing. Whereas schools are just kind of already set up really nicely where there's like larger washroom spaces available. And I think if we were fortunate enough to have some of those opportunities to really think things through and utilize like some of the existing things there to better, have more availability for the residents too.
Okay,
I
thank you.
have a couple questions. I know I had like a full list of questions when I first was reading through it, but I don't remember them all. So there's a pathway between the village office and public works and like the playground. It looked like, right, there's like a small road. Would it be similar to kind of like this road? Like, I'm just wondering, when I first saw it, I was like, ooh, that public works area is sure close to the playground, or to the school. So I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, but if there's like, you know, a clear barrier where there's like a full-sized road, trees or something to kind of differentiate between the two,
There is, isn't there?
just to make sure that there's,
You got the map. There is, I think, is there?
Yeah, so there's a laneway in the
Yeah.
proposed site.
Yeah.
So it comes off of, it would be a new laneway off Walnut. And so the idea is to make it one way, I think, so that drop off is just safer.
yeah,
Because
that
right now
was my next
everyone's
question, was what's
crossing the street.
planned with drop off and parking? 'Cause
Yeah.
there's chaos there currently, so.
I know safety was a big concern in picking the location. Again, it's very early days, subject to change. There's a lot of moving parts to this
Yeah, of
proposal.
course.
There's a lot of different factors that play into it, but I know moving the playground kind of away from Hot Springs Road, or like that play area on this side, was a consideration. And then making the drop-off area safer for children.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the access of the public works yard, whether that would be off Hot Springs Road.
I'm not exactly sure on the I imagine they would leave into
Off
the
Hot Springs.
laneway,
Yeah,
but it would be fully fenced.
but
and
they would
then
have to come in on Hot Springs Road probably.
Probably,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there's like clear separate.
I think it would
Yeah.
have to be.
Yeah.
We haven't got into those details yet.
Yeah, right.
So that is really good, just feedback
Yeah,
and.
don't take this as the finish.
No.
Horrible
Yeah.
conceptual.
Yeah.
Because I was concerned too about actual usage of the existing school for community members too, like would the gymnasium be left for people to be able to maybe have like adult sports or different types of things available, and then at least one of the classrooms maybe for someone wants to run some sort of classes or something. Okay.
And then I guess, I realize it's early days, is the idea that the playground would move, or would this be an opportunity to install some like accessible playground features, or?
If it stays the same.
I think that will be a great question at the
Yeah.
open house event for the school
For the school,
district.
yeah.
Yeah, so they have their own concepts
Right.
and designs for the new school.
Right.
That we're hoping they'll put on display for everybody in a show. So that's a really good question. Yeah.
Do you know like at what length they've consulted the current principal, like Tammy? Have they been pretty close
Oh, yeah.
with her about this?
Yeah, so the new school has been on the theoretical books for, I think, upwards of 10 years or something like that. So I don't think it's anything that is coming as a surprise to the school.
Yeah.
I know she's been included in all of our emails and
Yeah.
back and forth. We've been working closely with the superintendent and the board chair as well. Mayor and council, or Mayor has, and Tyson. Yeah, it's really early days. I know, just to your point, Chell, the Age Friendly Committee as well has talked a lot about having like recreational space space for, someone just playing cards or like putting on a craft club or doing chair yoga or things like that. So that's definitely something that we're trying to incorporate into any plans is repurposing that school if it's possible. We don't even know that yet, really. It's so early on, but repurposing it in a way that works for
Just
as many people as possible.
Even a drop-in room.
Totally.
Where people new to the village or seniors who just wanna meet for a coffee, right? Because that was one of the big criticisms that some people had towards the building for seniors in Harrison, was that there were no services here for seniors anyway, like the lack of services. And having a space where people could actually walk and gather, right? Which we don't have in Harrison, really? And even when, during the hot weather, right? The cooling room, right? The Memorial Hall was often not open, right? And, if you're living on the 4th floor of a condo with no air conditioning.
Yeah. And if
It's
we're
pretty
already
bad when you
working out
gotta
of
go
that
to the
space-
basement.
Yeah. And if we're already working out of that space, it's just like, come on in and use the room, right?
And when that situation happened at that time, of course, the only operation that was going on for that terrible heat year was in Agassiz. But believe it or not, all they got for the 1 week or whatever it was, about 16 people that ever came,
Well, part of the problem
And we have to remember also that for the since 2004, we've had the seniors, which meet every Thursday at the Memorial Hall. And that's become a big, for people who wanted to get together or lived on their own. So every Thursday they meet there. So that's been there now for nearly 20 years.
I know, but over the past few years, and this maybe isn't the place to go into it, but I know quite a few people who chose not to go because really they're playing cards all the time.
Mhm.
And, it's become a place to go to play cards, not really. And anyway, we won't get into that. No, really.
And we don't know what this building is. This is
No.
staying. This
No, no.
building is staying.
No,
It's
I
beautiful.
understand what you're saying, but also on the flip of that is, if you are a senior and you're not well and you're have physical limitations, you can't make it to the Memorial Hall because you can't drive and you can't walk. And I say that because over the past 3 months, since I had that second fall in front of my building on that trip thing, I got whatever they call as a traumatic fall. And it affected my whole system, and everything that I've ever had problems with in my life all kind of popped up again. And people who are dealing with cancer, people who've had heart attacks, who suddenly can't move. If you're living in a condo or anywhere where you need that cooling room, it becomes vital. And that's probably why when there are those things, there are so many people who die because, you're kind of trapped. I hate to say it, but you are, right? So I don't know.
The province does have now programs where they offer free fans and air conditioning.
Who's that?
The province, they did last year.
Yeah, it's free, wasn't it, Michelle? Yeah. Free air conditioners. Yeah.
But they offer it based on income.
I don't know if it was. My mom got one actually.
Wasn't it
She's
based
a
on
senior.
income though? Wasn't it based on income?
Probably.
I missed that, but anyway, we can look into that another time, but I do know people who were impacted because of it.
Through BC Hydro, actually, but it does look like it might still be.
Yeah, it was. But no, those are things,
Amanda, did we not have the hall open last year?
there were times, there were
church.
there
Or
were,
was it church? Sorry, the
Yeah.
church. It was the church that opened up, didn't it? The
Yeah.
community church, they opened up for the,
but not immediately.
Yeah, they did,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they were open for quite a while.
But then people didn't maybe know that.
It was,
It might have been on Facebook, but you see a lot of people aren't.
you know, it was on the website, even on the church's website.
And I guess that brings another thing is accessibility to technology. And there are so many seniors like that I know who are my age, who are just giving up on it all because it's just overwhelming. And I kind of hang in there, but I'm finding it harder too, because my daughter's recently moved to Seattle. My son is just on the road all the time. My grandson's now working up in the far north. So I don't have anyone technically up to date on at my fingertips, right? So it'd be, you know, it's a challenge, right? Like to keep on top of it. Your phone updates and suddenly you can't find this and so people just stop, you know, they stop using it. And I've known too many people who've done that. They've just stopped using it, which isn't smart, but frustration, right?
So any other questions on the campus?
Not on that. I have something before we finish though. So if anyone else has anything relating to. No, okay, just the utility cover behind the tourism office is still a trip hazard.
The hydro one, right?
Yeah, even like some fluorescent paint or something.
Is it high?
Yeah.
You see, that's what I fell on, and it's really interesting. I haven't got in touch with Hydro. Hydro has put a new plate on the sidewalk in front of my building. And when I looked at it first, what hit me first, it was all gray, which is similar to the sidewalk itself. And then it says, you know, danger, there's, you know, the lightning symbol. But as you said, there's no color to it. Like there's nothing to grab your eye to it. And I was looking for the pins and the pins were all down flat. And I thought, okay, well, it's still the same in a sense. There are still pins. But then the other day, I was really looking at it and the whole plate is up about this far. Which in itself, if you're a runner and you're running, right? You're running and you're kind of focused on your run. And yes, you're looking ahead. Well, from a distance, it blends into that sidewalk, but you don't realize that it's actually elevated the whole way. So you know what? Now I know that. And as long as my brain is functioning, I will remember that I will, you know, walk off the sidewalk or walk around it because I'll have to step onto the road because potentially I just tripped on, I would say less than a third of an inch, a pin that was like that and my toe of my boot got caught and I just went over. I couldn't break that fall. It was
Yeah,
impossible.
I think our maintenance crew do an assessment every year. I know even on Lillooet, due to the trees that came down and the roots have just totally upheaved the sidewalk. There's certain areas that we normally put a yellow paint so that you notice it when you're walking. So yeah,
But hydro should be when they're putting these in.
It's their responsibility.
It should be bright yellow or it should be.
The problem with this one is right in the middle of the actual accessibility ramp. So,
Well, that's the cars. It's in the middle of the sidewalk.
but it's the ramp
Yeah.
where people have to go with
Yeah.
a mobility device.
Yeah.
And so they're, yeah, I don't know, it seems to be even more dangerous. So, but even if it can't be repaired right away, maybe the Public Works can put some fluorescent paint around it or something to draw the eye. Or a warning sign or something, because it won't be good if someone topples.
Oh, good, thanks for that, Michelle.
And I don't understand why they don't make it flush with the sidewalk, right? Like it should, you know, like the level of the sidewalk and the plate, unless what's below is up so high that they can't lift it that much, because that whole plate could just be dropped so that it's, I don't know, it just seems weird.
I think that one though, just because it's behind the Rick Hansen building.
Yeah.
It's especially
Okay, we've got a few notes on that. Anything else on the campus? As I said, more info be coming forward as we receive it, and keep yourselves posted for the actual date, the open house, whatever they're going to call it. I just want to bring something to your attention. You may or may not know that last year at the UBCM resolutions, it was called NR41. In British Columbia, only 1 in 4 people aged 15 and over have a disability. That's about 926,100 residents. That's according to Stats Canada 2023. And the resolution is a nationally recognized program that measures the meaningful accessibility of buildings for people with diverse needs, including mobility, vision, hearing, cognitive. You go beyond minimum code to provide a consistent, measurable way to assess and certify accessibility. So that's one of the resolutions that went forward from UBCM, which goes to the provincial government. And at some point, we may hear about it this year when we get the resolution book. But that was last year's one of the resolutions that went forward for the
Did you say,
Vote for Accessible Communities. That was a resolution.
did you say it was called NR
41.
41?
Would you like that, Jerry?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Please keep it.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Pass it along.
Thank you.
Anything else, folks? Nothing more? No other? Okay, for staff? No? Okay. Regards another meeting, I'm guessing with some vacations coming up from our staff, and I'm probably May or June. We'll let you know. We'll work on a date, notify you. And other than that, just the resolution that you got and the letter, that was the two things. Anything else before we close? No? Boy, a good baby, you're getting tired, mate, aren't you? Okay, motion to adjourn, Michelle, Jerry, yes, thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for coming this morning. Thanks, Christy. Thank you, Amanda.
He's a real flirt.
Oh, yeah.
He's a ladies' man.